importance of your media contacts, and it's not developing a contact because I can pick up the phone and sell a story to anyone if I understand what the company is doing and what their goals are, and if I understand how the journalist is going to want to write. So do your homework before you reach out to them, and there's always that antagonism between the journalism side and the PR side. And you have the journalists who say, I'm a smart one. I'm not making any money, but I'm following my passion. I'm writing. I'm so intelligent. And the PR people over there, they're the pretty people who make the money. And they kind of like that. But I tell you what, if you know how the journalist writes, and you feed him or her the right story, and sometimes you have to step outside your client or the company you work for, and you have to think, now, if I'm a journalist, what's going to be of interest to them? And structure your approach to them that way. I think a few more things. These are maybe some of the more fun things. Speeches, you get to write opinion pieces, often for clients. As a matter of fact, we just got through with a client who is having an issue in Arizona. And we constructed letters to the editor. Now here's an ethical boundary. There are professionals who have written the letters to the editor and signed and turned them in under assumed names or fictitious names. That's an ethics boundary you don't want to cross. You can't do that. But you can write the letters, and you can find a real person to submit them under their name. And that's what we did. And they kind of rejigged them so that the letters were in their language and a message that they felt comfortable with. Blog posts are very big now, social media, and I'm sure you're studying that. You're going to be far more attuned to those issues than I am. As a matter of fact, you could teach me. So PR is always evolving. Eulogies. This is just one of the more odd things that might crop up, but you do get requests for all kinds of diverse assignments. This kind of leads into where I wanted to take the presentation today and the discussion. I just don't think that you really probably have a chapter necessarily that talks about the C-suite, the CEO, CFO, and that senior management team, and how you communicate with them, what their concerns are going to be, what their issues are, because you're going to be managing that, whether you're in-house corporate communications or if you're with an agency on that side. But at the head of the company, you have the chief executive officer, and that individual sets the tone for the whole company. That individual has the big vision of where that company is going and what it is to be. And that person can say, I don't like the 50-year history, we're going to go in a whole new direction. And, to a certain extent, if he rallied the troops within the company, the board, etc., he can do that, or she. But this is the big picture person. And the company's personality is a huge reflection of this individual's personality. So if this is a closed person who functions behind closed doors, that's pretty much the way the company's going to be. If this is a very friendly and open and dynamic individual, then that's going to be the environment in that company. And that sets the tone for what you can do within your job. I did a transaction, actually. It was an American company that was merging with a French company, and then a French parent company was going to take primary ownership of the two merged companies. So in essence, it was kind of a three-way merger. My client was the CEO from the American company, and the CEO of the parent company in France was Michel Bon. He was the CEO of France Telecom. He loved media. He was like, the more you give me, the more I like it. My company, my client, hated media. And so we announced the merger, and there was a little bit of friction between me and the head of corporate communications for France Telecom, because I was willing to, let's coordinate our contacts see who you're going to call and who I'm going to call. And at the end of the day, she's kind of like, well, you just call your people and I'll call my people. I'm like, okay, you do that. We announced the deal, and within 30 minutes, I had interviews for the two CEOs with the Wall Street Journal Europe, Financial Times, all of the leading publications in the UK, which are very influential in and of themselves for all of Europe. So I had all the key media set up. My client was very anxious about that, and I had to tell him, you have got to do this, and you've got to be good, because if you don't sit down with Michelle Long and do these interviews together, this is his story, and you have no part in it. And that's not what you want. So, you know, you have to take into account who you're dealing with, and you have to counsel them based on that. This individual, he's going to be a proactive thinker, and he or she's going to be a risk taker, and that's a good thing. In this context, that's exactly what you want to see in this position. They're going to be concerned with growth. How do I grow this company? Because that's the way everyone is looking at his or her role. It doesn't happen. So he may have to go back, and she, plenty of female CFOs out there, they've got to go back and they've got to rework their numbers and find out how they start this new division, or how they rework the division and find the money to make, again, that happen.